Can you hear that?
Yeah, I can hear that.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Do you want to do us a little intro, Alan? Like a little welcome to the drumming mental health and the Three Amigos?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's hear it.
Okay, I just got to see if this thing gets in my way now. Are there other people on the end right now?
Yes, and it's we're recording it, so we're gonna add people watch it a little bit later as well. But go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, let's just play around with. Well, I thought with my little lesson thing, I would introduce triplets, triplet eighths, and maybe some triplet sixteenths with accents.
That sounds great.
So, can you hear that? Okay.
Yes, I think so.
Well, I can turn it up a bit.
Sure.
Which one is this one?
What we'll do, John, when somebody is playing, let's mute our microphones. Or actually, just for you probably, because, yeah. And I can mute you and unmute you.
Go ahead, Alan.
How about you mute me?
Sure, I'll take care of it.
Do that.
I got to get this thing out of my way here. You're recording this, right? So we can edit as we.
No, we're not. We're not editing at all. We just go for it. This is live. People are watching. We've got 9 people watching right now, Alan.
Oh, are you serious?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Alan, there is no pressure here. There's no pressure whatsoever. Just do your thing.
Okay. Well, I'd like to welcome you guys all to the Three Amigos, and we're going to have a little bit of fun tonight. I've been in self-isolation for almost 2 weeks now. I'm getting a little bit stir crazy. Fortunately, my wife and my son are in self-isolation with me. So I guess that's not self-isolation. There's 3 of us. So I thought I'd introduce something called triplets. But until then, let's just have a little bit of fun. There's their introduction.
You know, Alan, I don't know what happened, but it didn't, we couldn't hear anything. Could you hear anything, John?
I mean, we're like not even 4 minutes in to the drumming mental health and Three Amigo podcast, and things are already going like Pete Tong.
You know what? That's okay. This is our first time. We're only going to do better. What we're going to do, so unplug your microphone, Alan, when you drum. Try that.
Unplug it?
Yeah, unplug it, and then when you're going to talk, just plug it back in. Try that. Go.
How's that? Is that not coming through?
I think it's because it's too loud.
Oh.
Bring it down a bit? I don't know. It feels like it's limiting.
Unless you're playing so fast, we can't hear you.
You're in a different zone, man. You're like on a whole nother level. You're spreading faster than COVID-19, man. That's how fast you're playing. Too soon.
Why don't we talk about the reason why we're doing this?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Sure. Plug your mic back in, Alan. Let's talk about it, Alan. John sent me a message. He said, "Hey, I really want to do this podcast. We should do something together." And I said, "Let's do it." What were you thinking when you sent me that, John?
I was thinking, obviously, the Friday nights are not happening now. And even after just 1 week, I was kind of missing drumming and kind of missing chatting to people. And I just thought it'd be kind of cool if we could just kind of reconnect once a week. And maybe if it's just talk, or whether it's just we plug in some music or we have a guest in. But really, like, obviously there's people watching this then. There'll be people from the drumming community, mental health community watching this after we've done this. So why don't you send us a message or send us an email or text us and tell us what you want to see. Like, so every Thursday night, maybe at 8 o'clock, we'll do something. We could have a guest on here. We could talk to that guest, ask questions. Maybe we can post before ahead of time to see if you have any questions for that particular person. But we could have Alan drumming, Julian drumming. We could do all kinds of stuff. So kind of what you want to see. But I thought it'd be cool just to connect first for the first week, because you know, it's been a bit of a crazy time the last few weeks, and I just thought it'd be cool just to let the drumming community know that we're still here, and kind of reach out and say hi. Does that kind of
Totally.
make sense?
So I'm reading some of the comments, and people are saying once a week, great idea. Joanne is putting that, and Joe Mangan is saying good idea as well. John, you're on it. Everyone loves your ideas, man.
You know, it must be the Welsh in us, Alan. Hey, it's just that always thinking.
Yeah, well, yeah, I defer to you. I think I'm past that always thinking stage. Now I just feel like I'm existing. And in my existence, I do spend some time thinking. That was a cue, John. That was kind of a segue
real
task about
fast, man.
Yeah. What are you thinking about, El?
Oh, we're working on it.
Yeah.
What I suppose, like with everything going on at the moment, I just thought it'd be a good idea to kind of tell it how it is. I'd like to know what you guys are doing, like with regards to, because you've been in self-isolation, right, Al? So what have you been doing to stay sane and like with your mental health? And
that's actually a good question. I get out for a walk every day. My wife and I take the dog out for a walk. We just got back from a walk, actually, and it was interesting because people would walk towards us with their dogs, and they would cross the street before they got to us. And I mean, it was really noticeable how people are doing this physical distancing or social distancing, and they're taking it really seriously. And I looked at my wife and I said to her, geez, man, you'd think we're contagious or something. You know, it's just so apparent that people are taking this seriously, and they should take it very seriously. Tonight, the U.S. just surpassed Italy and China and Spain as the number one country for the number of diagnoses, the positive tests for coronavirus. So I think it's something we have to take very seriously. And so, yeah, we get out for a walk. I try to get into the music room at least once a day, and I've been either drumming and digging, playing this little synthesizer here, the keyboard, and playing it terribly, but having fun nonetheless. And watching some Netflix, and Prime and Crave and everything else, but I'm trying to get away from that.
Hey, Alan, I got a question for you. And probably some of these people who are coming to the Friday nights can appreciate this, is that, you know, when we come and drum together in a group of about 100 people or so, you know, it's easy to make mistakes and blend into the big group. And you know, my philosophy on mistakes and whatever else. Mm-hmm. In the community drum circle, there's no such things as mistakes, but we have that inner critic. And you said it yourself. You say, you know, I'm playing by myself and not necessarily very well. How do you deal with that? How do you keep going? You know, because most people here are called to kind of continue to do some of these things that are helpful, and drumming, playing music is helpful. But how do you get past that thought, I'm not necessarily playing very well, or, you know, that inner critic?
You know, years ago, I worked with an old fella. His name was Billy Baycroft, and he was a boat builder, and he taught me some stuff that helped me build and do some of the work on my boat. And this was even before we bought our Bear Holland deck. And he used to have this saying, and he was I think in his former life or in previous years, he was a pirate. And he used to say, you know, Al, I've got it all figured out. I'm not going to be the prime minister. I'm not going to be the premier of BC. I'm not going to be a wealthy businessman. He said, I am what I am. You know, I'm a boat builder. And I think I've accepted that. I'm not going to be, you know, I'll never be a Neil Peart, or I'll never be a fantastic drummer or musician, but that's not why I do it. And I've accepted that. And I think the acceptance piece in everything in life is such an important piece of the puzzle in trying to live a life worth living, or find a life worth living. Acceptance and radical acceptance. And to me, the whole concept of radical acceptance, whatever it is that you're trying to accept, is such an important skill. And it's hard to describe. It's hard to explain what I mean by radical acceptance. And if anybody wants to talk about it at some other point in the future, I'd love to talk. I mean, we teach it in the DBT program.
So everybody ran away with that. Our video got interrupted. No, I'm just totally joking. Our video got interrupted on Zoom, but I totally agree. And I'm gonna play around with this. I'm gonna let you and John try and keep this dialogue going, because I absolutely, radical acceptance is at the center of it. It's just kind of letting go. For me personally, it's just like saying, you know what, I'm not playing. Oh, it's coming back. It's back. So it's solved. For me, it's about coming back to the point where I'm not doing this for anyone else except for myself. And and sometimes, I don't know, even for me, I don't know about you, but for me, I kind of isolate myself. I like it when nobody's listening. I actually prefer it, actually.
Yeah, I lock myself, and not lock myself, but I have a little music room here that's separate from the house, attached to the house, but separate, and it's soundproofed. So I come in here and I'm all by myself, and nobody ever hears the noise that I'm making, or to me it's music. To them it might be noise. And tonight, for the first time, I went and got my son, and I said, hey, now wait to listen to this. So I brought him in and I said, look, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to do triplets and sixteenths at 200 beats per minute. So that means I'm hitting the drum between 600 and 800 times every minute. And I judge myself. I mean, I judge myself terribly, thinking, oh, I'm missing beats, or it's not very clean. I'm accenting in the wrong place. And so he came in and he said, Dad, that sounded really clean, man. And I think, I mean, that's good. I didn't bring him in there to tell me that, but I really brought him in here to test my own comfort level at having somebody hear me make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that made sense.
Funny, yeah, it's funny because I did a drum circle in Red Deer a couple of weekends ago. We had this the same conversation with a group of students that we were doing the drum circle for. I think there was about 80 to 100 musical students, and we had a kind of an open dialogue halfway through, and a lot of the conversation was around I'm almost afraid to try something different in case I fail, and therefore I'll never attempt that certain pattern or certain rhythm, or kind of put myself out there. So we were kind of saying that, like, and we always say it all the time, like during a drum circle, how you perform in a drum circle is kind of how you perform in life. So when we got talking about it, I noticed that a few of the kiddos,
I was crying, and there's a lot of people that are really heartbroken.
Oh, are you guys hearing that?
Yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah, I'm admitting people, but I'm also muting them as they come in. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, keep going, John. Sorry.
I wondered what was going on then. I was like, this is turned into a freaky podcast.
A freakcast.
Sorry, I totally lost my train of thought now. Students, that's right.
Yes.
So, so after I invited the kids to kind of put themselves out there a little bit, and you know, kind of dare to dream and kind of live a little and try and push themselves, you could see that their affect and everything else was changing, and it was more positive, and they were and it turned almost kind of creative. So their creativity enabled them to kind of advance with their play and with their ability to play in that moment. So it was, but we see that every Friday night, right? And
well, I think that's what's magical about the Friday nights. is that it's a group of people that were people that I didn't know before I met Julian and started coming to the Friday nights. And I mean, I never would have stood in a circle of 150 people and drummed like a madman, or tried to keep up with Julian on whatever he was doing or copy him. And I never would have done that. But I was introduced through Julian and Judy to a group of people that I remember I came home and I said to my wife, "Oh my God, I mean, it's like nobody cares. Nobody cares that you make a mistake. Nobody cares that you're that you're not that you're not as good as some other drummer that you look up to. They don't care." And I think that to me is what that's the key element of Friday night. And it's not the drumming. I mean, it is for me, but in many respects, but in a bigger way, it's an opportunity to allow yourself to let your guard down, to be present, to be in the moment, to just drum like nobody gives a shit, you know? Nobody cares if you make a mistake. And you have an opportunity for 2 hours to let that child within you that you've silenced for so long, perhaps, to let that child to speak, to yell. I just love it.
It's almost kind of rediscovering yourself, or it's kind of like I always say to my family, because I always say to my family, like drumming was one of those things that really brought me out of my shell a wee bit.
Yeah.
Because once you take off that bulletproof vest, if you will, that armor, then you learn to be okay with who you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a great feeling when you do that, and that leads on to so many other things in life then, right? And I found that, like, especially with when I started drumming, and you're right, like nobody can keep up with Julian on a djembe. But it also, when you get pushed by others, it kind of leads into other areas of your life, especially with music. So for me, it was like with like the guitar is my instrument of choice, and if it wasn't for drumming being introduced to that a few years ago, or more than a few years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I would never advanced in playing guitar. And then that leads into like personal life. So whether it's home life or your job, or the way you are in public, or whether it's, helping with your own anxieties. So this is why Friday nights are special. This is why it's cool to see people really come out of their shell and be themselves. And it's always like really cool to see as a facilitator and as a musician to see that. And I think it's really cool. And to be honest with you, I'm missing it after 1 week, but I'm kind of hoping that if we keep doing this and we have people on here once a week and they can kind of share what they're experiencing too, I think it's going to help over this period of time, because there's a lot of uncertainty at the moment, how long this is going to be going on for and so forth. So did you see what they're doing? Did you see what they're doing in Italy?
I'll go for it. Yeah, the singing on the balconies.
Did you see it?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Did you see it? There's police officers even coming out and doing live concerts, because the police officers can walk the streets, and so they go and they just like sing songs, and they got loudspeakers, and they're all getting people to clap on their balconies. It's really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, it is.
They sing songs. So it's really cool. And they started that. They're singing songs. Everything will be okay. And I'm trying to remember in Italian what I read earlier on. Andre tutti bene, or something like that. Sorry for any Italian listeners. If
that
you're
sounded really good.
Was it? Well, it's because I'm Welsh, right? So, but it means everything will be okay. And with the rainbow flags and stuff, and now they were one of the worst countries to be hit with the COVID-19, but now it's kind of, with this COVID-19 spreading fast, so too is kind of this community camaraderie. So all around the globe now, people are, I mean, my kids and me and my wife with the kids the other day, we were putting up rainbows in the window and, you know, saying everything will be okay. So it's really cool how, even though this is kind of a, excuse my French, shit time to be in, there's a lot of good coming out of it. And it's almost kind of like people around the world are kind of coming together, which is really nice to see. So
I think it's important to realize too, especially in Canada, and I don't mean to disparage anybody's experience or demean or minimize how difficult it is for some people. But even with what we're having to deal with the physical distancing and the struggles that we're all experiencing here, we're still extremely privileged relative to 70% of the world's population. And I think we have to keep that in perspective. How we're living today is still far more privileged than how so many countries in the world live on a daily basis without COVID. So I think we need to keep it in perspective.
Absolutely.
We're not that hard done by. And I mean, my thoughts and best wishes go out to anybody who's received a positive diagnosis, or anybody who's has family or friends that are suffering from this illness. And I mean, and I never want to demean their experience when I say that.
Yeah, totally. I think you're absolutely right. You know, we're hearing of these cases, but many of us are, you know, maybe experiencing feelings of anger towards some of these shifts and this type of dynamic of needing to be isolated or whatever, or maybe unemployment, lack of financial support or whatever it might be, or maybe the childcare issues. Like for us, I can honestly say we've had a season of just craziness. I don't know if you can tell by the state of the back of my house, but that's my whole entire office on my right-hand side is taken out because our main floor flooded on March 7th. And then it leaked into the basement and we had water, and now we've got flooring that's ripped up in our kitchen, and we got stuff everywhere. And we're dealing with insurance, we're dealing with contractors, and our kids are at home 24/7, and Danielle can't go to work, and all this kind of stuff. So there's a lot of things happening at once, and it can be quite frustrating. And personally, like the levels of stress are through the roof, and I'm like, where's my Friday night, man? You know, where's my group of people where I can come together? And you know, it seems even though we go in there as facilitators, it's meant to be a selfless, place. But definitely we get a lot from it, you know, when we facilitate, you know. And John, I really loved what you said in terms of how it's a transformational tool. It allowed you to kind of let go, you know, take off that critical self-judgment, and allowed you to expand to playing more guitar and playing different instruments that way, right? Like I think when we go without something, when the Friday night has been removed, when our social connection has been removed, when we're called to isolate, we can really see, or when your basement is a mess and your house flooded, you can really see how many graces you actually have all the time, and you take them for granted. Like Alan's saying, you know, we're quite privileged in here in North America, and you know, we're lucky that we have politicians who are really looking at the long-term game and saying, okay, so how can we make sure that we don't, you know, lose sight of each other and you know, cause a bigger problem with unemployment rates and whatever else, right? So
I think people are inherently good, and you know, I don't know. I think we're witnessing the good in people, and we have to be cognizant of, I think, that one simple fact that people are inherently good. And when we hear, whether it's some politician, some crazy politician on CNN or Fox News or whatever you watch, or CTV, spouting stuff that is hateful or whatever, is to ignore it. I think that's how we get through this, and we acknowledge that for all the bad shit that we hear from time to time, there are so many good people out there. And I think a crisis like this is when the best in people shows.
All right. So with that said, John, do you have any final thoughts to that?
I think it's really cool that we're all doing our part, and obviously as healthcare professionals, we kind of get to see what's going on at the moment inside the hospitals and the health centers. But I'd be really intrigued to know, like, what our participants on a Friday night, the people who come on a Friday night, or the people who have been, or who are thinking about coming to a Friday night.
Yeah.
I kind of intrigued to know, like, how they're kind of dealing with things at the moment, and
So
what are they doing to fill the void of to stay sane if they're being isolated.
we have a few represented here in the room. I don't know if you can see this on your iPhone or on your telephone, John, but we have a few people, and I've muted them all, and it's not because I don't want to hear from you, but I can unmute you, and maybe I can, whoever has a camera on, if Laurie, you have something to say? Laurie, we have a few people actually. So why don't you, there's a chat there, and if people have something that they want to share, you just put your name in the chat, and then I'll unmute you and I'll give you the floor for a few minutes. So Laurie, you had something to say, you said? Oh, you can even raise your hand. Look at that. Okay, I'm unmuting you. This is really awesome.
So I did a Zoom earlier today with my Choices family, which was very inspirational. I know some of you know what the Choices program is and some don't, but I think I'm comfortable enough with you people to let you know that I am currently waiting for test results. And it is a very interesting period of time because it's something that I need to know so that we can start a drug regime to help my allergy infected lungs, but it's not something I really want to know. And it's been a very surreal day because I don't leave my house at all, not at all. I'm in a very high risk group. So I change floors every hour to get a different perspective. I have 4 floors in my new condo, and I've just decided every hour I'm just going to change a floor and figure out what to do on that new floor. And it's been very interesting. I've gone through a grief period, I think is how I would describe it. You grieve for your freedom and you grieve for what was. And once you come out of that grieving, I think we're all going to be a lot healthier and happier and better grounded. That's it.
Wow. So I've got a question. Yeah, Mary did a little clapping thing. That's pretty cool. How are you doing all of these things? All I can do is put a thumb up and a clapping thing. So I'm curious, Laurie, because I know that you were away, and initially you were quite upset with this whole, isolation thing, and probably it was a challenging time because some people, there's a lot of everyone's kind of telling each other what to do, especially over social media. Oh, you've been traveling, stay home, or whatever it is, right? And so that must have been probably a big challenge. But now coming on from this perspective, what can you say about that whole process?
I think I'm not upset with isolating in any way, shape, or form. I never was. I actually brought myself home before people were telling you to come home. I knew enough that I needed to get to a place where I have you guys, I have the healthcare, I have my house. And it was the people who decided to text me while I was still traveling and tell me how entitled I was and how unthinking I was of other people. And I was literally appalled by some people's boldness to comment on my actions. Like they didn't feel like I was following the protocol where I was. trust me, I followed the protocol from day one
Yeah.
because
So,
that's how I travel.
yeah, exactly, right?
And I think it was, at first, it was the feelings of being judged. I didn't appreciate being judged when no one could see how I was handling myself on a daily basis.
So how
And
did you
as soon
get through
as
that? How did you get through that?
I actually, well, it was a tough week. The very first week back home was very tough because I was dealing with the loss of friendships. I dealt with it very swiftly and I removed those people from my world because I felt they were not being able to be pragmatic in a situation that needed calm. We all need to use the right part of our brain during this, not the panic part. And I don't need people who are going to panic in my world. It was overwhelming to have such hatred thrown at me. It felt like hatred.
So I'm curious, do you have a drum at home?
I do not. I've
Well,
been drumming on my island.
there you go. Yeah, exactly. Alan, where did you start drumming before you had a drum set? I don't know about you, but
I
for
didn't. They're my son's drumsticks.
but I have a pot. I used to play on pots and pans. My first band when I was how old was I? Like 11. I played in front of like 400 farmers at this agro show. And I had some pots and pans and garbage cans, and people are like, "Oh, you guys are like Stomp," and I'm like, "What's Stomp?" I didn't know anything about anything. So, but we had this 4-minute show, and we got paid like $400 for this thing, and I was like, "Man, this is awesome! Like, this is so cool." So that's how it was. And that to be said, all that to be said is that I didn't have enough money for drums at that point, and rhythm was still my medicine. It was still a very important part of my life. And so, I think if that's something that, is helpful to you, just find a table, like you said, on your island and just, just do
Well,
it
if
with rhythm.
if you drum with sticks, and the best place to practice is on a pillow where you don't get any rebound, where you have to work at making that stick come back. So practice on a pillow, practice on a cushion. And then when you want a bit of rebound, practice on a table that is okay to get a few little dents in it from the sticking. But you can do a lot without a drum. I mean, well, no, everything's a drum.
Well, the interesting thing that my therapist made me do was she made me get in my car and she made me go for an hour-long drive. I wasn't allowed to get out of my car because I'm self-isolating, but that didn't mean I couldn't be in my car. And she said, I want you to turn on some classical music and I want you to just blare that in your car while you're driving. And it really, really grounded me back to music and to just letting a lot of stuff go. I think a lot of what I went through was a lot of my own personal stuff coming to the surface because people were pushing the buttons that I'm trying to fix. And it was kind of like, okay, I know that I need to fix that button. Please stop pushing it. And now I think I've changed the way I look at this now, and it's not a jail anymore. It's more of an opportunity for me to make sure I'm safe.
That's Laurie. First of all, hello, because I haven't seen you and spoken to you for a long time. That sucks. And I think I'm glad that you brought that up because there's a lot of people, not just in Calgary or Canada, but around the world that are kind of would have had the same experience as you, or still having the same experience as you. And I think what we're learning from this whole COVID-19 thing is that we're seeing people's true colors, whether it's good, bad, ugly, great. And but the good thing is that with all this stuff going on, there is, as we've said already, there's a lot of good coming from this. So focusing on the positives and focusing on what helps us. So like we've already said that music is, as we've identified, that Friday nights, missing a Friday night drumming is having an impact on us already. But you identifying that music is helping, you blasting the music in your car and how music helps, and it helps with our mental health. And it's so important and so crucial to look after one's mental health, especially right now and for the foreseeable future. And it's really important. So I think moving forward with this kind of live broadcast or video cast or whatever we're gonna call this, I think it'd be really cool to focus on music and mental health and how things are, you know, progressing around the world, and focus on some of the positive things that are going on. And before I keep going, Sarah, are you still there? Is Sarah still there?
Yeah.
Does Sarah have something does she want to say? Does she have
Sure.
a hand up?
I did. I had my hand up. Hello. Hi, everybody. Lori, I just wanted
Hello.
to say I am so sorry that you're having to deal with this stress right now. And I just really am praying for you, and that everything is going to be in good health for you. I don't know anybody personally who's dealing with this issue directly. And my heart just goes out to you, as well as everybody else's, I'm sure. I guess for me, I'm really a homebody to some degree. The Friday night drum circles are something that I've kind of latched onto, and yeah, I'm missing them. I did try to connect up last Friday when we were doing the live side of things, and if I put my headphones on, I just kept playing Julian over and over again because the feed stopped. And there's just little me in the basement, and didn't really care what it sounded like. I couldn't convince anybody else to come downstairs with me. Not that they probably would have anyway, it's okay. But I did end up digging some of the stuff out from one of the cabinets that we had. So I brought out the tambourine, and I've got a pair of drumsticks from Rock Band. So thanks for the suggestion about the pillow, Alan, because you know what? I might just give that a try. I need to just focus on being more confident with my rhythms and not feeling really so self-confident or self-conscious. I think I'm doing better. I'm at least sitting in the front row when we do drum circle now and having a blast with all of that. So, you know, there's some improvement there. And eventually I will have the funds to get my own group going. I was on a good track for setting that money aside until, you know, some adjustments in our income, but that's okay because that won't be forever. My biggest mantra is getting through all these kinds of things is it's not forever, it's just for now. And when I'm having a crappy moment, which I will say, I haven't had very many of them, it's just something that just will come up and it's like, okay, you know what? This isn't forever, it's just for now. I can deal with this, I can do this, whatever, we'll get through it all. But I think it's great that you guys take the opportunity to try to bring some of us together, and hopefully others will catch on and see what, you know, what the comedy trio is all about.
I kind of like what you were saying then, Sarah, about that little, that kind of little quote. Maybe that could be the quote of this like broadcast, because it could go either way. Maybe it could be like, you know, drumming and mental health for the Three Amigos. It's not forever, it's just for now.
True.
No.
You're welcome to borrow it. For me is really sticking to some sort of a routine on a daily basis. Like I'm still trying to get to bed at a certain time, not getting up at the normal time that I would if I was going downtown to work, but trying to spend some time, lots more time actually in meditation and doing a lot of reading and staying away from the kind of crazy news reports and the crazy people. Well, maybe that's probably not the right term to use. The alternate reality people of some of the ideas that are being kind of spun off there. But I do have a really strong community that I get together with on a regular basis through Zoom calls and coaching. So a lot of the work that I've been doing over the last 3 or 4 years kind of has set me up for a really good headspace, I feel, under these circumstances. So I just really want people that are struggling to reach out to the really good communities and limit their interaction or their exposure maybe to some of the stuff that's not so great for our mental health. Now I'm going to get off my little soapbox.
I love it.
I enjoyed that. I was just thinking.
Yeah.
I was thinking, Sarah, when you said you have a pillow. Do you have a set of drumsticks?
I do. They're actually still from the old Rock Band video game. We were trying to get rid of some old kids games and things like that, and I said, no, you can't get rid of those drumsticks. Pull them out of the bin. I'm going to play with those. And my daughter said, you can't do that on the djembe, Mom. It's not good for it. I'm like, I didn't say I was going to use them on that drum.
So you have your own djembe too?
It's actually my daughter's, but I borrow it every week. She's very kind to lend it to me.
Well, that's good. I mean, I think it's brilliant, because if we can't be at, and I don't go every Friday night, but if we can't be Friday nights at the Friday night drum circle or any other drum circles during the week, then rock out at home. Like, seriously.
Oh, I do.
So good. Yeah. Yeah.
Drives everybody else nuts, but that's okay. They're pretty patient with me. But I will have to say that I did bring out the wind instruments. Might take a while for me to get confident enough to actually play them for anybody else but the dog, but we'll get there. Baby.
I agree, man. Since playing the flute, I know I've been posting stuff about it and whatever else, but it's even more intimate than playing the drum, I find. It's like the using your breath and there's something quite intimidating about that. Hey, I'm just curious, can you guys hear this?
A little bit.
Barely.
What if I did like this?
Oh yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you, Laurie, and thank you, Sarah. That was really cool to hear what's going on for you guys and what's helping you. And it kind of sounds like the theme or the pattern is that music, rhythm, stepping outside of your comfort zone, pushing yourselves when we don't really necessarily need to be pushed anymore, but it's in a healthy way, is kind of helping us. So I think moving forward, I mean, I'd love to hear if anybody else is listening now, or they're going to be listening to this maybe tomorrow when they're having a coffee, when they're in isolation. I don't know. Like fire us a suggestion on like some other talking points or topics of conversation, or if you would like to see a guest. I mean, maybe we get like Trevor on next week. That would be quite a cool guest to have on to see and hear what he's doing. And I'm just really intrigued. Yeah,
for sure. So what we're gonna do is so I'm recording this. I'm gonna put it on Facebook. We'll kind of have people comment on it, even if it's after the fact. I also would like to, Laurie's giving a thumbs up. That's great. I'd like to also kind of give a shot and try out what it would sound like. I don't know why we were having technical difficulties with Alan's drumming at the beginning, because I really wanted to hear it. Alan, do you want to give it one more shot? John, mute your mic. I'm going to mute mine, and I'll play a bit, and then let's see what happens here.
Okay. So I have the speaker behind me. So can you hear that? How's this? I'll try the acoustic. Nope.
Play more of a consistent beat on the actual acoustic kit.
Okay.
Jackie's wondering what's going on. Hi, Jackie. We can't hear you, Alan. I don't know why.
It's not coming through, eh?
Why don't I try and then you guys
Yeah.
tell me if you can hear this? Okay, I'm just gonna try it on here. So why can't we hear Alan? That's just I don't know. Man.
know.
Your suck knob is all the way turned down. You got to turn that suck knob up. Do you guys know that? Suck.
No.
When you suck, when you're not very good at playing an instrument, you got to turn down the suck knob, and then you play better. Sarah liked that one. Okay, let's try this one.
No.
You can't hear that.
No.
So it's probably the distance between the microphone and this. That's probably what it is. Then it cut off.
Half of it. Yeah, half of it cut off.
Okay. So I'm gonna have to sort that out. I'm next time I'm gonna be a little bit more prepared. Perhaps I might have kind of a room microphone, because I think what happens is on these computer systems is that there's a limiter or something like that that kind of cuts out anything that isn't a voice. Perhaps.
Yeah.
Something to work on. It'd be cool if, like, at the start of the broadcast, like, maybe you guys could play us in and then at the end play us out. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, man. I see some guitars back there. And a didge. You could do it too, John.
You don't wanna hear me on the didge. It's sounds more like a, well, I won't say.
Can you hear? Did you hear that electronic didge? Here, see if you can hear this.
Turn it up. Yeah, we can hear it. It's slow. I don't know, man. It's not doable, man. It's
not doable. Oh well.
It's
we're gonna have to
something
figure
to
it out.
work on.
If there's
I would have
anybody-
loved to have, like, for everybody to see, like, all the screens thing, because when Alan was playing that, all of us were kind of like moving and swaying.
And yet you couldn't even hear it.
we heard some of it, but then it went down after a while.
Oh.
Mary's saying maybe if you could use a speaker on the computer. We tried it before, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways, well, if there's any Zoom wizards out there watching and just painfully crunching, being like, you guys, this is how you do it, just please send us a message so we can sort this out and learn.
And then as for next week as well, maybe any listeners, if you can send us some suggestions on, like, a couple of or a few talking points for next week. Because obviously this week was more around more like a pilot, COVID-19, talk about what people are doing, talk about Friday nights. So, give us some suggestions. Like we said, we've been chatting and we'd like to bring on some guests and just, pick their brain and keep it really positive. And I know, what do you guys think?
Yeah.
All right.
Everyone is muted. Oh, hang on. Hey, I got a question. I'm gonna do one last test because we got thumbs up here. I'm gonna do one last test. I'm gonna share my screen, and I'm wondering if it will play with the sound as well. Let's try this. So this is from the last week's stream. So let's just see if this works. Okay, you ready? Can you hear that? Can everybody
Oh
hear
yeah, perfect.
So that's the recording from the last time. That was fun. Okay, how do we stop sharing? Stop it. Can you hear me while I talk over it?
Yeah.
That sounded really good, mate.
Oh, is this not posted on the Facebook? Like, I don't know. I'm not on Facebook. Apparently, I'm on Facebook, but I'm not actually on Facebook.
I just admire you were using your fingers, your mouth, your toes, your everything, mate. Like, what weren't you using right there? Like,
Oh, John, that's just the tip of the iceberg, buddy. So
It
we've
looks
been
like
there before, but let's keep this PG.
it looks like you're really strengthening your adductor muscles there, Julian.
it's what are those called? Kegels? No.
That's like a
I
Kegel
thought he was
exercise.
strengthening something else, but there we go.
Mary's laughing.
I think you need a
All right.
you need a Shruti pedal, Julian.
Oh, you know what? I know just the guy who can build one of those. Anyways,
All right,
that's
before we go,
for next week.
my kids want to say hi. They're itching to get on the screen. Come on, get in here. This is Connor. This is Evie.
Hi
Hi,
guys.
Evie. Hi, Connor.
We're definitely gonna get more likes now because of you guys. Buzz
Yeah.
Lightyear and a unicorn princess.
Yeah, and a unicorn. Yeah.
Come on. Love it.
So,
Okay, everybody, we're all gonna put our hands up in the air and say goodbye to everyone. Can you say goodbye, Connor? Say bye.
Bye, Connor.
Thanks for
Bye.
coming.
Bye, Laurie. Bye, Mary. Bye, Julian. Bye,
We'll
John.
see you guys
So
next
again,
week.
send us some suggestions, topics of conversation, ideas, and then we'll see you guys again next week, I suppose.
Sounds good.
See ya. Thanks, John.
Bye, John.
See you guys.
See you guys.